I'll go over a few things again. My name is Jim Southworth. I am an investigator in charge from the National Transportation Safety Board. I'm based out of Washington, D.C., and I've been assigned as the investigator in charge for this accident. I also have with me today as well Dick Hipskin and Georgetta Gregory. Dick Hipskin is from Valparaiso, Indiana, and Georgetta Gregory is our Railroad Division Chief out of Washington, D.C. as well. This is my second press briefing since we arrived on the scene yesterday a little bit before 1 p.m. Again, on behalf of the NTSB, we express our sincere condolences to the families, the co-workers, and friends of the deceased in this accident. Last evening, NTSB investigators held our organizational meeting to assign personnel with technical expertise from the parties to the investigation into specific investigative groups. These groups include operations, track signals, mechanical, and we also planned for and scheduled interviews that were accomplished today. This evening, and each and every evening during this portion of the investigation, the parties to the investigation will meet to report and discuss their progress, their findings of their activities, and also plan and coordinate for the next day's activities. As I said yesterday, the on-scene phase is a fact-gathering phase and can last anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. The organizations that are assisting us in this investigation include the State of California Public Utilities Commission, Bay Area Rapid Transit District, Federal Transit Administration, the Department of Industrial Relations, Division of Occupational Safety and Health. And these parties are cooperating with the NTSB and providing great assistance. As for today, the examination of the signal system should be completed a little later by this evening, and we will discuss their progress at the meeting tonight. Mechanical inspections of the rolling equipment have also been completed, and we'll discuss their findings later tonight. We conducted extensive interviews with 4 employees today. These interviews were conducted to obtain information relative to dispatching activities, track inspection activities, and operator training at the time of the accident. This activity took the entire day to complete. We continue to receive documentation that we've requested from BART as well as the California Public Utilities Commission. There is a tremendous amount of information that we've received thus far that we've just beginning to examine. This train was operating in non-revenue service, meaning there were no passengers on board the train at the time of the accident, no revenue passengers. The operation of the train was for training and maintenance purposes. There were 6 employees on the train at the time of the accident. We have begun to examine various downloads from the train equipment. The image recording equipment on this train is being prepared for shipment to our laboratory in Washington, D.C. This is the data from the image recorder in the operator cab portion of the lead car and from image recorders within the passenger portion of the car. Tomorrow, we will conduct additional interviews with BART management and personnel and California Public Utilities personnel. After tonight's progress meeting, I do expect other persons will be identified that we will interview. NTSB will also meet to plan, coordinate, and develop protocols for sight distance and brake testing. That's akin to a reenactment. Again, if you didn't get the press number, I'll give it to you real quick. It's 202-314-6100, and the contact in our public affairs office is Eric Weiss. And I'm prepared to try and answer some of your questions.
Did you interview the driver?
The question was, did we interview the driver? Yes, we did interview the operator of the train at the time of the accident.
And had he heard over the radio that there were people on the tracks?
Her question is, had he heard over the radio that there were people on the tracks? There is a system in place on BART to where they will announce over that system where people are out on the right-of-way, and we've just begun to gather that data and what the announcement was, when it went out, and that's all I could comment on that right now.
Was the driver aware of that announcement?
Pardon me?
Was the driver aware, was the operator aware of that announcement? I mean, we heard it on.
Yes.
He was aware.
Yes, but I can't go into detail about what the announcement said.
Determine if the people at the controls of this train had sufficient experience and sufficient certification and training to be there?
She's asking about the operator of the train having sufficient training to be there. As I said previously, this was a non-revenue trip with the train for training purposes, as well as for maintenance personnel to do certain checks on tracks and the equipment itself. So he wasn't a training, he was in training. He's in the operator's compartment in the tree. Pardon me? The training is part of the certification process.
So he was in training.
He was an operator trainee.
Had he been certified prior?
That information I don't have. I know he has held other positions with BART, and I'm gathering that information as well.
In addition to the driver who was in training that you interviewed, who are the other three people that you talked to?
We interviewed his supervisor, and we interviewed someone from the dispatching office.
So there were 6 employees on the train. Were any of the rest of them hurt on the train?
No, no one on the train was hurt.
Is there any kind of preliminary training that you have to do before you can do the training?
That's some of the information and data and whatnot that we've asked for from BART that we're receiving. That's what we're still looking at, yes.
All of the ground controllers, they're making the calls, letting them know who's on the track. If you talk to them, what kind of information do they tell the operator?
We spent about 8 to 10 hours today in these interviews, and I have a progress meeting tonight with the other parties where we'll get into actual results of those interviews. I can't comment on that right now. Hang on.
Will you be looking at the CPUC's procedures to research?
Yes, we'll look at everything. We'll look at training procedures. We'll look at past training. We'll look at 72-hour history of everybody involved. We won't leave any stone unturned.
Have you had a chance yet to listen to the audio that seems to be out everywhere, and we hear stop, 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 and then we understand that happened? Well, I guess we don't know when that happened. It might have happened a minute before the actual crash. Do you know any?
I can't comment on that because I don't know what you've heard. I know what I'm going to be evaluating soon.
Who was the most senior BART employee on the train by title?
Who's the most senior BART employee on the train? I'm not sure about how length of service or who was the most senior at this point. Over here.
Other people on the train, did they also be trained?
There was one other person on the train that was in training as well. There were 6 on the train.
They were there for training too?
2 or 3 were there for troubleshooting and mechanical type operations with the trains. 1 was there to do training, and 2 were trainees.
And this is for an event of a prolonged strike?
I'm not exactly sure of that at this time.
How fast was the train going, and was this operator able to employ an emergency stop? I understand there's a couple of buttons in there.
The preliminary information we have right now puts the speed between 60 and 70 miles per hour. Okay, and there was an emergency stop of the train.
What about the airport? Did they warn the 2 people?
Preliminary information that we have is that a horn was blown.
Do you know if the 2 employees were following the simple approval procedure? Are you aware of that procedure?
I'm not prepared to comment on that procedure at this time. I've got a progress meeting, like I said, with the rest of the parties this evening.
Have you reviewed the video that was facing inside?
The video that is was the image recording and data that's taken from the in-cab recorder is being packaged, like I said, and sent to our laboratory in Washington, D.C., where that will be downloaded properly, safely, so no information or anything is lost.
There was some kind of blue tool that was recovered at the scene. Do you know what that is and what that was?
I've had that recovered, and sometime this evening when I talk to the mechanical people that are out doing their work all day today, I'll probably have an explanation of what that apparatus was.
How many people were
In the cab, there were 6 people on the train, the operator's in the cab. That's all I know right now.
Was it trained on computer mode, where basically he's just sitting there, not manually operating the train?
She's asking if the train was an automatic train operation or a manual. At the preliminary information we have is that it was an ATO, automatic train operation. Yes, sir.
Did you say that the operator was a trainer or trainee? Was he training the other?
There was a trainer there for the purposes of training people as operators.
The person operating the train, he was an experienced train operator, or he was a trainee?
He was a trainee operator.
And how much experience had he had ever running a train like this?
That's information that we just gathered this afternoon. I'm not prepared to comment on until after I have a progress meeting with the other parties. A couple more questions.
Was he alone in the cab, the trainee operator?
No.
Did you say that he was aware that there were people on the tracks? I didn't quite hear that part.
From our preliminary information is yes, that there was an announcement, and yes, that he heard it and he was aware there were people on the track. One more question.
It seems as if today we focus on what happened inside the
Well, the focus is a key word. This is a well-orchestrated industrial ballet. Nothing is not looked at. Every rock is turned over. Every door is opened. I can't say right now that there's any focus at this time. It's just the second day. This is the first full day we've had here, and most of my time and my colleagues was spent in 8 to 10 hours of interviews. Tonight, I'll get more information from the parties that are doing some inspections for me on the equipment. So there is not a focus per se. It's very lengthy, it's very thorough. These things happen basically in an instant, but in order to take a good look at them, it takes quite a lot of time. And it's particularly important that we gain as much factual information and data that we can while we're on scene.
So, well, was the trainee who's operating the train, is he a manager?
I'm not prepared to comment at this time. Thank you very much. That's more than I had. That's all I got for now. I will try and do also a press briefing tomorrow evening, which I'll be able to give you more results that I might have available based on the first meeting, the first progress meeting that I'll have tonight with the investigation team. Thank you.
Can you spell your name?
S-O-U-T-H-W-O-R-T-H, first name James, or Jim.
Can you do it at the light?
Oh, he's coming to the mic. I'm just going to give the spelling. The name is Jim Southworth, or James Southworth. I'm an investigator in charge. Spelling of my last name is S-O-U-T-H-W-O-R-T-H, just like it sounds, South and Worth. I'm out of Washington, D.C. headquarters, yes. And Dick Hipskind, H-I-P-S-K-I-N-D, is with me, and also Georgetta Gregory, who is the Railroad Division Chief out of Washington. Georgetta is G-E-O-R-G-E-T-T-A, and Gregory is G-R-E-G-O-R-Y.
What's your title?
My title is investigator in charge.
Are you having another briefing later on this evening?
No, not this evening. I'll be with my parties and investigation teams. I'll try and come back out again tomorrow between 4 and 4:30. That's a BART's decision. I'm basically here to investigate what happened with the accident itself. Decisions made about when the tracks will be open, when BART goes back to revenue service, strike information, that kind of stuff right now is not something I'm prepared to comment on, and I'm not really focused on it now. I'm looking at the accident itself regardless of the strike.